Hello, my name is Senator Malcolm Smith, and here we are again at the roundtable. At our first program, we talked to you about all the specific guests we were going to have on the show. We told you we'd have individuals who were involved in the media. We'd have entertainers like we had LL Cool J. We talked about bringing such people who have done so much work for the city of New York and the state of New York. Reverend Flake has been on. And we have a whole host of other guests that are coming. However, today we have a very special guest. Some of you know her because of her philanthropic work. Some of us know her because of all that she's done with the Historical Society. Some of you might even know her because she has been the person who has been the advocate for the basic needs of every citizen in this city. She from time to time juxtaposes herself to the mayor. Not that they don't get along, but primarily because she wants to make sure that the citizens of this city get the best services that they deserve. It is my pleasure to welcome a good friend. She's a personal friend, Betsey Gothbaum, the public advocate of the city of New York. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you. Good to have you.
Thank you.
And we just shook hands like it was a little bit informal, but Betsey and I are a lot closer than that. But let's just get right into it because the show runs fast. It doesn't take too much time. We want to thank you for coming on. There's no question about it. People of Queens love you, and those in Brooklyn that may see it also, I'm sure they love you as well. You just had your inauguration.
I did indeed.
It was a wonderful inauguration. I think the Mayor David Dinkins swore you in.
He did.
And the beginning of your speech, I started to say sermon. That's only because you come to church from time to time too. But you talked about your vision for the city. Tell us again, what is your...
Well, my vision for the city as public advocate is that I want to help those people who have no place else to turn. I mean, that's basically what the public advocate is all about, being the ombudswoman, the person who people call when they have no place else to turn. And I believe that it's really important to have this function and have it as a citywide elected official, because as a citywide elected official, you kind of have more heft, you have more bang. Because, for example, let's just take an example of food stamps, just because it's the first thing that comes to my mind. You know, if I know there's a problem of not enough eligible New Yorkers have signed up or have access to food stamps, and I know it's a problem in Queens and a problem in Brooklyn, it's probably a problem in the Bronx and Staten Island and Manhattan too. So jumping on an issue for the whole city and trying to solve that particular problem or that particular issue is a really important thing, and that's what I love to do. And that's what I did the last 4 years, and I'm going to do a lot more of it this coming 4 years. I think there are a lot of priorities, Malcolm. I think that probably the biggest problem we have in the city today is housing and the lack of affordable housing. I think there are a lot of different programs out there. The mayor has promised about 165,000 units. I hope that he will be able to do that, and I will be watching and
you watch well.
watching alongside to see that it is constructed. At the same time, we need to preserve our neighborhoods. Now, I know neighborhoods here in Queens, and particularly Springfield Gardens, and just a whole bunch of neighborhoods where there's some downzoning going on that is somewhat disturbing, and it's something we need to be really careful about. We want housing, we want, for sure, middle-class housing, affordable housing, but we want to preserve our neighborhoods. So that's another thing that I'm going to be looking at.
Well, you have, I mean, I think the biggest challenge that you have, and I'm saying it because I know what you do, is people knowing what your office does and how well you do it. I mean, there are so many things that you have done with our office, whether it was from parks, housing, Social Security. I mean, it's just a myriad of things that my office has talked to your office about that we've been successful with. I mean, even when recently you were out here for United Black Men, and I mean, and you talked about a couple of things, but then when they started to question you and you started explaining all the stuff that you did when you left, so many of them were like, "Oh my God, I never realized she's done all of that." I mean, how do we help get that message out there? I mean, because your office, whether people know it or not, really solves most of the problems that we have in this city.
Well, it is certainly a huge problem, and we need to. I've got to figure that out. It's one of the things that, as sort of my new administration, is to figure out how do I get the information out to New Yorkers that this is a place they can really call and turn to. I try very hard to. I go to churches on Sundays. It's a great way not only to see what's going on in the communities, to worship with others. But you get a chance to say to people what it is we do. I go when I'm not running for office.
Yes, yes, you do. No question.
And to me, it's a very important part of the job, because I get to tell people, look, you may not have a problem today, but just put it in your head that you can call our office about any problem. If we can't solve it, we'll tell you. But we'll try to help you solve the problem. That's different from 311. 311 is a referral service, a very good one, 25,000 calls a day. But we don't do that. We actually try to work through the problem. I'm going to be expanding that office. I'm going into a public-private partnership with an organization, and hopefully we will be able to raise quite a lot of foundation money so that we will expand the Ombud services, and we'll combine with this organization and do a huge marketing campaign throughout the city, but also because we'll be advocating for people. That's what the plan is.
That is interesting. So you're talking about a foundation that will work with your office to help you expand your resources to serve.
Yes.
And that's because right now the way the city is structured, they're not giving or they don't provide enough for you to serve, or staffing up, or what if you were mayor? What would you do then? I mean, would you put more
if I were
on?
mayor, what I would do is I would strengthen the Office of the Public Advocate, because I believe that having an office where someone is pointing out some of the problems in government it's a win-win to make better government. You know, if I say to you, Malcolm, I know that in your district there's some rezoning going on. There's some developers coming in at midnight and with flashlights and
oh, you must have been out on the block the other day. That's kind of how they do it.
You know, you and I can solve that problem together. It's not just me telling you. It's me saying, look, I'll stand behind you, and we'll go out and we'll stop it. And we'll get the city to stop it. So I believe it's a very important office. I believe it needs to be better funded. I believe it needs an independent budget so that nobody can cut the budget. You know, the mayor can control my budget. He cuts it. Then I have to go to the council, ask them for money, and I'm beholden to everybody. So
and you serve citywide, right? You have to do
citywide.
all 5 boroughs.
I do all 5 boroughs.
Whatever it is, sewers, housing, child care, I mean, whatever it is, education, you have to do all of it.
5 boroughs. I have 8 million bosses, but I love them. I love every one of them. They hold my feet to the fire.
Right. 8 million bosses. Oh, that's 8 million people. Oh, okay.
But you know, something about education that I think would be very important to people in Queens, and something I'm going to be working on. You know, there are these, I guess they're called community education councils.
Yes.
Where parents
are part of
this education complex. They're supposed to be advising the school system and talking about their problems. Well, right now it's very much in disarray, and I very much would like to work with the borough presidents of each, because they each get 2 appointees. And I'd like to work with Helen Marshall and see if we can't have the CECs, as they're called, report or use our offices kind of as a neutral, objective place to come in, tell us all their problems, all their wishes, and we would make a lot of noise or translate those wishes to the Department of Education. And I think there would be a way for us to be really helpful to these communities.
Now, how would we do that? Does that require just the borough president saying, okay, the Board of Ed, or how does that shift?
It requires our friends in Albany, in the Assembly and the Senate, for us to go up there and to say, because they passed the legislation creating the community education councils. And right now, the community education councils just don't have any place. Don't have any. The Department of Education isn't really giving them, and it's probably hard for the Department of Education, because again,